Evet, kıymetli hanımefendiler, beyefendiler bir kez daha hoş geldiniz. Sermaye Piyasaları Kongresi 2018 devam ediyor. Şimdi 3 salona bölündük. Burası ana salon, A salonu. Her salonda birbirinden etkin yetkili isimleri ağırlamaya devam edeceğiz. Şimdi CFA Yönetim Kurulu Başkanı ve Genel Müdürü Paul Smith huzurlarınızda olacak. Sayın Smith'i huzurlarınıza davet etmeden önce ben de biraz sergüzeştinden bahsedeyim. Paul Smith, CFA Enstitüsü ve onun dünya çapında 158 binden fazla üyesine yatırım uzmanlığı konusunda yüksek standartlarda eğitim, etik ve profesyonel mükemmellik yönlerinden liderlik ediyor. Smith, 30 yılı aşkın süredir önemli finans merkezlerinin çeşitli pozisyonlarında yer alarak yatırım yönetimi endüstrisine geniş liderlik tecrübesi getirmiştir ve şimdi Sayın Paul Smith'i sunumlarını yapmak üzere alkışlarınızla sahneye davet ediyorum.
Thank you. Thank you, and good morning, everybody. It's very nice to be here, and thank you to the Capital Markets Authority for having me. I won't delay you too long. I'll try and be as quick as possible so we can catch up some more time and hopefully allow the panel to talk for a little bit longer. It's great to be coming on straight after Gert Leonard, who spoke to us this morning, because a lot of what I have got to say this morning, I think fits very naturally with what Gert was saying. For those of you who don't know CFA Institute, we are the professional body for the investment management industry. And this is our mission statement. And I think following on from what Gert said to us this morning, I think this mission statement really has relevance in the new world, in the future of investment management that we're going into. If you think about what a profession is there to serve clients. First, second, and last. It's not there to serve itself, it's there to serve its clients. And when you think about professional bodies like doctors, lawyers, accountants, you'll get what I mean, that those bodies all exist because their focus in life is client service. But the second thing that's important about a profession is that it has purpose. A profession's purpose is the ultimate benefit of society. And that's really important, and I think that flows nicely from what Gert was trying to say, and hopefully flows very nicely into the panel that is to come. Our purpose in life is not to enrich ourselves as financial services individuals, but our purpose in life is to serve our clients and to help our clients and the societies in which they live achieve their financial aspirations. And one of the things that I think is going to be very important for us as a profession going forward is to be a lot louder and prouder about that sense of purpose. To make sure that all of our clients, our regulators, really understand that we have a point. And that point is to provide solutions to our clients into the future. And if we can do that, if we can articulate that sense of purpose really forcefully going forward, then I think we have nothing to fear from technology. Because it's through purpose that we will establish the point of what we're trying to do. So today, just the only slide I have that is something of a commercial, just to tell you a little bit about the Institute. Today we have just over 160-odd thousand members around the world. So 160-odd thousand people who have gained the CFA Charter, which is our credential, which is a 3-level exam that takes about, on average, it takes most people 3 to 5 years to pass those 3 levels of exams. And it's perhaps the thing that the CFA is best known for, holding a very hard examination process. But it's not who we are, it's how you become a charter holder. Who we are is the professional body for the investment management industry, and I'll come back to that. Our members today are primarily in the United States, but increasingly here in Europe, Middle East and Africa, and in Asia Pacific. And if you look at the number of administrations of that exam, which are roughly speaking 350,000 examinations a year we're holding now across all three levels, you'll see that overwhelmingly Asia today is the largest piece of that pie. And if you look at Turkey's numbers, you'll see that we have about 166 members here in Turkey, but about 500 young Turks who are going through the examination process. So that for us, where we have more students than members, is an extremely positive dynamic. It means that over the next few years here in Turkey, we expect the numbers of our charter holders to grow exponentially in this country. So what do we do? How do we try to deliver on that mission? Well, simply, we have a very simple three-pillar strategy. The first is to help people into the profession through the credential. Then, in the middle pillar, we try and deliver member value to them, and that really is all around continuing professional education and brand building, helping people who've gone through this process really maintain their abilities throughout their careers. And if you think about a profession, again, that's very important. You don't want to go to see a doctor who's my age, who cheerfully admits that they've done no professional education at all since the day that they qualified 30 years ago. So continuing professional education is absolutely a key piece of what we do. And then finally, we work with market regulators like the Capital Market Authority here in Turkey to try and build an industry that really has purpose and serves everybody in our community. So as Gert was saying, we live in times of change, but the challenge for our industry is that we are somewhat disconnected from our purpose. And that is very, very challenging when you are living in a period of change. And I think these numbers that we pulled from a survey that we did about a year and a half ago are extremely worrying, but also give us a job of work to do for the future. 53% of investment professionals only are passionate about financial markets, but only 28% of investment professionals stay in our industry today to help clients achieve financial goals. So what does that mean? That means 72% of our industry are not bad people. I'm not saying that they're bad people, but they're in this profession because primarily they are passionate about competition with each other and competition against the markets. When asked, only 28% of them said that they're actually interested in serving clients. So again, trying to connect it to the theme of the panel discussion coming forward, if we can't, as a profession, do better in terms of articulating our purpose, I think we have a very shaky future indeed. And those last two bullets there, that really not only retail investors but also investment professionals are pretty agnostic, if not negative, about our abilities as a profession to really act in the best interests of our clients. So that really is an extremely worrying survey as we go into this period of change where we're going to be challenged more and more to articulate purpose. And as we know, there are lots of global trends affecting our industry today. We've got aging demographics in a lot of the Western world. We have technology, we have economic imbalances, we have an increasing propensity of governments to regulate our industry, and also we live in a very resource-constrained world. So lots of really global trends that are really buffeting our industry. And this is from a report that we did in 2017 called The Future State of the Investment Profession. And so we took those trends and we tried to project forward 10 years as to what sort of industry this might develop. So some scenario planning. And this report is on our website. Everything that we do is free. We're a not-for-profit organization, so you can download these reports from our website. This one's called The Future State of the Investment Profession. And we really worked out that we thought there would be 4 scenarios that would come out of this. Possible fintech disruption, obviously, which would severely hamper our ability perhaps to make our margins. Parallel worlds, where we would have financial technology enabled industry alongside old world industry. Lower for longer, interest rates remaining a lot lower than we would like for a lot longer than we would like. And then the final one that we're trying to push our industry towards is a capitalism that is much more around solutions provision to our clients. Some other things that we need to keep an eye on as an industry, this is my personal checklist. I live in Hong Kong, and the growth of the asset management industry in Asia is absolutely overwhelming. Gert talked about Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent. Why are they growing so fast? Why are they such an important part of the world's future? Is because there are 1.3 billion Chinese who are rapidly not only getting wealthier and wealthier and wealthier, but rapidly being integrated into the financial system. And I think it won't be long now before we wake up one day and we find that one of those Chinese organizations, one of those huge Chinese financial giants, whether it's an ICBC, the largest bank in the world, or Ping An Insurance, the largest insurance company in the world, where one of those giants have bought one of the major American or Western European financial services industries. I spent last week in Africa. The middle class in Africa is booming. We reckon that there will be about 1 billion new middle-class consumers created over the next 10 years. Most of those will be in Africa. 3 billion Africans in the next 30 or 40 years, and well over half of those will be under the age of 30. So Africa is an enormous growth area for the world in general, and both Africa and Asia will develop around a 10% per annum compound growth rate in assets under management. So when we look at the tailwinds behind our industry, they're actually quite substantial. But I do think there are some challenges around that. Changing demographics, particularly, I think, is the one that I'd like to point out from this graph in the light of our conversations around the future. The client of the future is going to be a millennial. And if you survey millennials, and there's plenty of evidence around millennials' view of life, it's around purpose. Millennials want to work with companies, they want to work for companies that have an articulated sense of purpose. And I think that's going to be very important for us as business people as we look to build our workforces and the talent that we need going forward. If as CEOs we're unable to articulate a purpose that appeals to the millennial generation, we will struggle to retain and to hire the quality of staff with the qualities that Gert talked about earlier. And then finally, we have to remember that in 10 years' time, well over half of our clients are going to be women. And that's something that a male-dominated industry needs to face up to. I'm not saying that all women are going to want to be served by women, but we have to have businesses that appeal to women because not only are half our clients going to be women by number, but well over 60% of the assets that are out there for investment in the future are going to be controlled by women, or the decisions around those investments are going to be heavily influenced by women. So if you're running a business that isn't facing off to millennials and to women clients going forward, again, you're unlikely to have something that's very sustainable. And then trying to connect all of that sense of purpose together, if you look at that bottom point, we believe that ESG investment is set to increase as a factor in all of our communities going forward. Trying to connect investment to purpose through ESG is one very simple way of making sure that our industry has a future. And the thing that I love about ESG is that there is very little data around ESG today. ESG requires exactly the sorts of skills that Gert talked about. You have to have judgment to execute ESG investment, and you have to have vision. And I think that's an area that really can sustain our industry going forward for the next decade. Business models, as we all know, face pressure. Most people expect there to be a lot of consolidation going forward, and as a result of that consolidation, I think allocation to passive investment will rise and margins will obviously come under pressure as well. Business circumstances too are changing. ESG investments that I've spoken about also. 70% of investment leaders expect financial centers in Asia will become more influential. That's pretty obvious. But only 11% of investment leaders believe that the investment industry's impact on society is currently very positive. And I think that's obviously a depressing statistic, but one that I think we should take as a call to arms, really. That through a greater commitment to purpose, we can correct that number and build a sustainable industry going forward. So when we think about the three product groups, really, premium products, convenience products, and cost products, and we look at what's likely to happen in terms of the numbers of players within those product categories. We think in the premium world there are far too many small asset managers today. There are, roughly speaking, something like 12,000 asset management companies in the world today who roughly are working on those premium products, the alpha products, hedge funds, private equity, etc. So far too many of them, but that will still be an extremely important section of our industry. And we think that that will become increasingly customizable as we go forward and increasingly skewed towards private deal making, private equity. Convenience products is something where we think the industry's growth rate from an employment perspective will increase dramatically over the next few years. And we see this throughout our charter holder base. More and more of our charter holders are in wealth management businesses of one sort or another, who are geared really towards trying to select solutions for clients. These are not really product producers. These are solutions providers who are often accomplishing their job by selecting products on an open architecture basis for delivery to their client base. And we see that as very much a rising category of employment. That product producers will be shrinking, but product organizers, product constructors, and product delivery and solutions provisions to clients will all be job categories that will grow in the future. And then finally, for the low-cost products, although we expect the assets under management to increase dramatically, we think the number of players in the indexation world will decrease dramatically over the next few years. So if you're thinking about positioning your business, if you're thinking about positioning your own career, I think some of those points are important. And again, to go back to one of Gert's comments today, we believe that the total number of employed persons in the investment management industry in its broadest sense will increase over the next 10 years pretty substantially. But the jobs that those people will be doing will be very much within that middle box, outcome-orientated portfolio construction. Not so many jobs in portfolio manufacture, and certainly very few jobs in low-cost, smart beta, or passive investment products. So some of the considerations for the future, this is from a US consulting group called Focus, that the old challenge of growing assets, really for the sake of growing assets, we believe that that business model is going to change. Products and services and investments will need to show both economic and social purpose and value. And you will need to commit to transformative change within your company and the community. Whether you donate to charity or not is another matter, but you will need to show that your business is really committed to the environment in which it lives. So we took those scenarios that I talked about earlier on from the future state of the investment profession, and we delivered this year, in the middle of this year, another report which is called The Investment Firm of the Future. Again, it's on our website. Please feel free to download it. And we took those scenarios and we tried to deliver some narratives off them. And the most important narrative, I think, is around the people model. this idea that Gert talked about combining technology and people to deliver a purpose and a product that our clients want. And when I think about the CFA, that's really a huge challenge, because I 100% agreed with what Gert talked about in terms of the skill sets that the future investment professional is going to need. And the CFA Institute over the last 20 or 30 years has provided a very technical education to its charter holders. And I think in the future, what we're trying to do is to round out that education much more into the softer skills areas that we're all going to need going forward. Client empathy, solutions provisions, trying to understand what the end goals for our clients are, and trying to deliver those through smartly enabled technology. And so this is our sort of recipe for success, again, from the investment firm of the future. These are the things that we believe a smart organization is going to need in the future. And the two that I would point out there are people and technology better together. And I think Gert made that case very strongly, and refocus the investment process on outcomes rather than benchmarking. And again, if you go all the way back to the start of what I was trying to say, if you think about what a profession is an organization where 100% of all professionals can succeed. And if you think about the way that we have set our profession up, which largely speaking, success is declared in reference to a benchmark, we have organized our profession so that 50% of us every year are bound to fail. And as a result, it's very unsurprising that our clients and regulators really find it hard to understand why we produce much value. So we have to reconstruct professionalism and say that our purpose is to serve our clients' needs. And if we talk about ourselves in that way, then we can truly develop a professional industry that works with purpose to better society for all people in Turkey and in the world in general. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Please stay on the stage for present ceremony. Thank you. Efendim, Sayın Paul Smith'e sunumları için teşekkür ediyoruz. Kendilerini kısa bir süre daha sahnede misafir etmek isteriz. CFA Society İstanbul Başkanı Sayın Albert Crespin, Sayın Paul Smith'e Sermaye Piyasaları Kongresi 2018'e katkı ve katılımlarından dolayı teşekkürlerini iletecekler. Kendilerini alkışlarınızla sahneye davet ediyoruz. Efendim, ara vermeyeceğiz. Yine burada olacağız. Panelimiz olacak. Teşekkür ediyoruz. Saygıyla yerlerinize davet ediyoruz sizi.